Namaste. Welcome to the talks on Neo-Hinduism. In my last video, I introduced you to a term, transgeometry. And some of my friends, they asked me to explain it more. Definitely that will be a new concept for them. You can't read about it in anywhere because I myself created that term. Well, what is this geometric pattern and transgeometric pattern? Geometry was supposed to be a wonderful thing in the past. It is said that there was a board in front of Plato's Academy. It was written in the board that those who don't know anything about geometry need not enter. So a knowledge about geometry was considered as a big advantage. What is geometry actually? In a basic concept that we get about geometry when the school said, we learn about triangles, angles, circles. We learn about pi and all that, isn't it? The value of pi and all that. And we know that when you add all the angles of a triangle, you get a particular degree and all that. We learned about spheres and cylinders. It's all like some calculations, a type of geometrical pictures. That's a basic geometry that we know. As we advance in geometry, you learn a lot of other things. Well, one thing is very interesting. That is, the creator who created this world never applied geometry in his creation. Now the modern architects always have geometrical patterns. They experiment with geometrical patterns. Even when you start building a house, you insist that should be in squares and rectangles or sometimes in hexagon and like that. You just observe all the rooms in your house. It will be either square or rectangle, sometimes triangle, hexagon, whatever that is. But God never created a perfect triangle. Anywhere in his creation, he created a perfect triangle rock or perfect circular rock. There was never and there will be never a perfect circular pond or a lake which is totally it exists in rectangles unless man makes it. But man, when he makes a pond, that is a circular pond or a square pond like that. That's what I call geometry. Go through the plants, the birds, the human beings, observe them. Is there anything geometric in their creation? No, very less. I don't say that doesn't exist, but very, very improbable. All your organs are non-geometric. Your nose is not a perfect rectangle. Your eyes may be circular, but not perfect circulars. One eye is always different from another eye. And the heart is not geometrical. The kidneys are not geometrical. The bones are not. Why didn't God create like a geometric pattern in the body? Why the coconut tree is not a perfect cylinder? Why a coconut is not a perfect sphere? Even the earth is not a perfect sphere. So, there is something wrong with this geometric pattern. We are taught to think in a geometric pattern. That's why the architects and engineers insist that you should have geometrical patterns in your house. That's easy for you. It is easy to appreciate a garden because a garden will have geometrical figures, geometrical boundaries for everything in it, except the trees and the plants. They are not geometrical. When you enter a garden and sit in a corner, you feel happy because there is nothing mysterious about things. Everything is purved in geometrical circles and squares and rectangles. But in a forest, you get confused because nothing is geometrical. In the creation of a forest, God never applied the techniques of creating a garden. A garden is human-made. A forest is a divine creation. But unless you cross this geometric pattern in thinking, you can upgrade yourself. That is true in every field. Your father is a typewriter, so he's a person who is running a typewriting shop, or say a typewritist. What do you call it? I will call it typewritist. And you see people sitting and learning typewriting. And suddenly the computer comes in. Your father is outdated. He believes that typewriter is the greatest machine in the world. He refuses to buy a computer or upgrade. Then what happens? Finally, there will come a day when your father's typewriting institute will be closed. It is so in business. We had pan shops, which we call Murukangada. And Murukan was the most important thing there. Used to buy pan and like that. But now, such shops are very rare. You go to a Murukangada or you go to a pan shop, you can even buy a mobile charge. So you can charge from a pan shop. The hotels are different. Business is different. Everywhere the difference is there because now we are transcending to another pattern of living. You order food, food comes in. The films have changed. Tomorrow, in future, there won't be any film theatre. All the films will be shot to be shown in mobile. Such a change is happening in the world. It is inevitable that film as a group enjoyment is going to end. Maybe the pictures of superstars and all that, which comes out with so much propaganda and publicity and all that, that may attract people. But short films and small films and such films, the future is in the mobile. Everyone is going to watch mobile. The newspapers may get outdated because people believe more in the news that they get in their own mobile phone. The social network is very, very important. Political parties are very much interested in giving publicity through network. So the change is coming, the change has to come, no one can stand against the change. Changing from one pattern to another, thinking of the things that is going to happen, that's what I call this geometric change. When you are living in a family, there will be some geometric patterns in your mind. You see your mother waking up in the early morning and she takes a bath and comes to you with a cup of coffee. Your father also gets a cup of coffee and he wakes up. This pattern you have seen. So you expect your wife to come with an early morning coffee to you and sit in your bed. And you marry a girl who expects you to go to the kitchen in the morning and come with the tea. See, you have to adapt to things. You don't like girls wearing jeans and jeans, pants and all these things. Because in the family, your mother used to wear a sari always, your sister used to wear a sari always. So you want to be in that pattern. You know, in Agraharas, Brahmins used to live in houses like boxes. Small houses, but very long. and their minds became narrow due to this. This geometrical pattern has affected their minds. So, the more narrow you become, the more rigid you become, more unhappy you become, and more unhappy you bestow on others. That's a problem with geometric pattern. Start thinking of in a neo-geometric pattern. Think of a new thing, start a new habit, start a new business, have new friends. In the FB, it is possible to have new friends. Have a lot of friends. Talk to them, understand them. Of course, there will be people who try to exploit you. That is the defense. You have to use your own defense for that. But things are changing. See, we lived in the Newtonian world once. According to Newton, the world was on machine which worked perfectly. And it will be like that forever. But when Albert Einstein came with his theories, Newtonian concept of the world died. Now we have got the quantum world, and that world is very different from the world that Newton saw. And tomorrow, scientists may come out with another idea of science. Similarly, the religions. You have to upgrade religions. You have to upgrade your rituals. You have to upgrade your interpretations. You have to make it more logical. You have to make your religion more spiritual than ritualistic. That is needed in everything, in everywhere. If you refuse to upgrade yourself, you become out of fashion. You become nothing. You perish. If the fish in the water insist on the geometric pattern of living as a fish, then amphibian would never have born. But that evolutionary force which works in you asks you to come out of the citadel of thoughts and emotions and the feelings and outlook that you have. Read more, you become transgeometry. Travel more, you become transgeometry. You listen to people more, you become transgeometry. Otherwise, you will be just like a frog in a small pond. You won't be able to realize the whole world which exists around us. So, that is neo-geometrism, or I can say that is transgeometrism. The great rishis transcended their mind from the geometrical pattern of their life, and then they understood all the truths of life. That's how they came out with so many inventions about life and the origin of the world and all these things. So, when we are following them, get ready for a transgeometric pattern of life. Not the usual life you are leading now, not the usual humdrum social life you are leading now, and not sticking to or gluing yourself to that track of geometric pattern, that track of political thinking, that track of religious thing. Upgrade yourself. Best of luck.